It's a really good idea, and sometimes it's like a fantasy to be able to buy your forever home as your first home. Maybe even your second or your third home could be your forever home. And that might be the case, but for most of us, it's going to take a few attempts to get right into the exact area that we want to be with the style of home that we want. Let's talk about the very real reality of how to buy a house with future resale value in mind. My name is Andrew Finney, and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent where you live, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. All right, my friend, let's take a closer look at how to determine a good home to buy with future resale value in mind. There are 9 main components of this. The first one is knowing and studying your local market. When we're talking about knowing and studying your local market, it's a good idea to go out and look at the builder's inventory, look at some open houses, identify some of the homes that catch your eye now, and observe how long does it take for them to go into contract, what was the price point. And as you begin learning how to do this, you're going to start uncovering the market trends, indicators, and conditions. Normally I like to make that into a really simple and easy to remember acronym of TIC. What makes the market tick? TIC, trends, indicators, and conditions. By knowing this and by learning your local real estate market and what's going on in your area, you'll always know where the trend lines are going by observing your real estate marketplace, how long on average are homes taking to sell, and at what price points they're selling. This becomes particularly important when you're considering what is the average family, the average person in your city able to afford in their new home. When we start looking at that, we can isolate kind of the sweet spot of the market. In other words, that spot of the market that whether the market's up, whether it's down or it's all around, is always the hottest part of the market because the average income for the typical citizen that lives in your city, that's how much they can afford in their new home. So by knowing what that segment of the market is, that's one of the ideas of getting into a home with future resale value in mind. If you're in that sweet spot, then we know we're always going to have a buyer in the market for you. Understand what those families are looking for in their new home. Maybe the average family is looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath home, about 1,600 square feet, and they need a 2-car garage. Maybe they want to be within 20 minutes of the downtown center. If that's the case, now we've identified areas where these families are looking, the price range these families are looking, and the type of home they'll be looking for. Keeping this in mind as you find your right home for you right now will also assist you with your future resale value in the future. Number 2 is to learn about the community and the area. What's going on? What are the market forces behind the scenes that are driving for that community? And the reason this is important is because when you buy a home, you're actually buying into the community. You're buying into the area. So we need to know what's going on. What kind of future businesses are being planned? What kind of developments are going to be going in and around the area? It can either do a good service to you and help boost your property value, or it can detract from your property value. Being clear and understanding what the building commission and the building department within your city is planning is crucially important, as is taking a closer look at the zoning in and around the community that you're looking to purchase. Learn the community, study the community, get a good feel and fall in love with the community so that you know how to read the market trends, indicators, and conditions in your local marketplace. The third thing you want to keep in mind is finding a property that appeals to the most people. Now consider the very real fact that when you walk into a new home builder, they're doing a couple of different things. And the reason I like to use them is because a lot of people go and tour them whether or not they're looking for a home in the market or not, just to get an idea of what are trending upgrades or established upgrades that they would like to do in their home. They kind of use it as just, let me get an idea of some of the projects I want to do in my home. Don't know about you, but I know I've done it, so I'll go ahead and raise my hand and admit that right now too. So here's the thing, when we're looking at that, look at the color palette and look at what's appealing to the most people. We want to make sure that we're getting the house and that we're keeping it in a certain color palette. You ever wonder why earth tones do so well? It's because it's so neutral that people can do anything they want to it. When you see those homes online, maybe you're looking on Zillow, maybe you're looking on a real estate agent's website, wherever you're looking at homes right now, and you see those homes that have those jewel tone colors, like a deep, dark, royal looking purple, or maybe a navy blue color for a wall, or even black. I've even seen black walls out there. Does that really appeal to you, and do you think it would appeal to the most people? Probably not. The other thing that we want to consider is architectural style. What kind of architecture is appealing to people in that area? Do they expect the white picket fence look? Do they expect to have fences in the back? Do they not expect to have fences in the back? What is the community? What are the benefits? What are the most people looking for? Do they want playgrounds in the neighborhood? There's so many questions to consider, and one of the easiest ways to gain insight and clarity on this is by considering what's important to you right now and asking your family and your friends what's important to them when they're buying a house too. too. Getting clear on that right now, keeping everything in perspective, will guide you and serve you well as you plan out your future resale value for the home you can live in today. Number 4 is to consider the median home price in your area. Now this kind of goes back to what I was talking about a moment ago, but it is so critically important to understand this. You will find that across the different price points, you have a different buyer pool. Obviously, the higher and higher and higher up you go in price, the fewer and the fewer and the fewer buyers that are available. So when you start going really, really low, what does that mean? That means that there's more buyers available for those lower priced homes. But by getting in line with the median, right there in the middle per se, of what homes are priced in your local area, and to understand the income that's needed to afford that home is critically important. Look at the average salaries in your area and consider what the economic forecast looks like in your city. Does it look like more jobs are coming to your city? Does it look like more jobs are leaving your city? Look at those different opportunities to really evaluate the median home price in your area and what that home looks like. Now, of course, if you're out shopping for a home right now, whose mind can you pick about that? A trusted real estate advisor, the one that you're working with to help you with your home purchase. Simply ask them, hey, just out of curiosity, Andrew, what is the median home price in our area and what appeals to the most people? What kind of homes is it that gets buyers the most excited? I'm just randomly curious about this because in a few years' time, maybe 5 or 7 years, I'm planning to sell this home and I want to make sure that I get the right home that is going to have the best return in the future. Getting clear on that and establishing that relationship with your real estate agent now will prove powerful for you into the future. The 5th thing to do is to look for the home that catches your eye. Now, obviously right here, we're talking about curb appeal. If that curb appeal can pop to you, it's highly likely it's also gonna pop to somebody else. Now, having a home with good curb appeal up front is cool, but it is one of those things that you're able to do to a property whenever you own the property. They spice it up, spruce it up, and make it more sexy looking, right? But if it already has good curb appeal, it already has it going for it, why not entertain it and see if it's gonna be the right one for you? Because if it's catching your eye, it's catching a lot of other people's eyes too. The 6th thing to do is to pay attention to the neighborhood flow. When we're talking about the neighborhood flow, we want to take specific notice of what kind of homes are in that area. Are they ultra modern? Are they modern contemporary? Are they contemporary? Are they traditional? The reason this is important is because if you're looking at buying that house, that might be the ultra modern in the community, but the rest of them are a Tuscan style or a traditional style, probably not the best of ideas. Why it's cool to be able to stand out from the crowd in a lot of ways as an individual and to make ourselves our own and be true to ourselves. This is cool, and I support this and applaud this. When it comes to real estate and you're looking within a community, being the oddball out can really hurt you. So make sure that you're paying specific attention to the neighborhood flow and the architectural design of the area. The 7th thing to think about is not to buy the wonky house. Now, when we're talking about that wonky house, we've all seen them. There's some of those homes that you really wonder if they're gonna come to life like a Disney movie, or there's some of those ones that you're like, what is going on with that? I was watching a program about a gentleman that had built a custom home here in Las Vegas, Nevada, like in the 1980s or something. In fact, it was, I believe it was Penn and Teller, one of the people from that show. And I was looking at this house and I was thinking, oh my goodness, that is huge. It's monstrous. I'm glad it worked for you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, but my goodness, I don't think you could ever sell that house for the house. I think you could sell it for the land, but I don't think that house is going to appeal to anybody.
So in order to buy the new house, which was expensive, I have to sell the slammer. And it turns out the slammer is so eccentric that you can't really sell the slammer.
It was a wonky house. And what I thought was cool is he was keeping it real and he was honest about it. He's like, hey, you know what? Here's the thing. This is the creation of an 11-year-old's vision that has a lot of money now as an adult. And I was like, okay, cool. I get it. You did your thing. You lived your dream. Fantastic. At the same time, you don't want to be the buyer buying that wonky house because your future resale value is going to suffer and it's going to hurt. Make sure that you're buying a house that's going to appeal to the most people in the future and also something that you can enjoy today. Leave the wonky ones for the wonky folks. The 8th thing to do is to think about what you can't change about the home. Now, when we're talking about that, what can't we change about our property? There's so much that we can change, but what can't we change? We can't change where that property sits. If it backs up to a major road or a major freeway, we can never change that, can we? If it's something that's on a smaller lot than usual for your area, that's another thing that we can't change. Consider the orientation of the property that you're looking to purchase and keep that in perspective, because if it's having a hard time selling now or it's causing you to hesitate on pulling the trigger on buying it, chances are whenever you get ready to resell that home, it's going to have the same challenge to get a buyer that wants to make an offer on it then. Keep that in perspective as you're moving forward. The 9th thing is to have a plan to add value to the property. Now, this goes back to when we were talking about homes that catch your eye. Something that's really easy to do do to a home is to increase its curb appeal. Normally it doesn't cost too much money, and normally the return on investment is over 100%. In other words, more than a dollar for dollar if it's done correctly. So make sure that you get with your real estate agent, make sure that you get with a landscaper, take a look at different landscapes that pop to you, and if that's one of your ideas to add value to that property, make sure it's going to pop to the most people. Another thing that you can do that's pretty easy and inexpensive in the grand scheme of home ownership is repaint the exterior of the home. Now, if you live in an HOA, please be sure to contact your architectural review committee and make sure that you're painting your house an approved color for the HOA. There's also a lot of other things that you could do to the house that would be more manageable, but keep it in perspective. Don't get onto like HGTV and you're watching all these wonderful upgrades and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna renovate, venerate. I'm gonna make a new kitchen, I'm gonna make a new bathroom, and I'm gonna make $1 bazillion here in a few years whenever I get ready to sell it. Yes, no, maybe so. What happens if the market takes a dive? Well, if the market took a dive, that likely means that you're gonna have to be there a little bit longer than your original plan to recuperate some of that cost, and you may not ever get it back out of the house. So be careful when you start taking on major projects. Focus on the things that can have the most pop to a house and that's going to appeal to the most people that you can easily spruce up without breaking the bank in the process. That brings us full circle to the 10th, and perhaps even one of the most important things to have in life is a plan B. We wanna make sure that you have a plan B, because just as I mentioned a moment ago, what happens if the market tanks? Well, the market could go skyrocketing up, the market could stay the same, or the market could nosedive straight down, right? We want to make sure that you have a plan B, and this is where knowing how to house hack is extremely important. I've made videos about house hacking. If you're wondering what house hacking is for reference, it's essentially the premise that you're getting someone else to pay for your mortgage and cover the cost or even profit from it as you live in that house or as you may have moved on to a different house. Being able to do that, assess the rental income of the property that you're buying in case you need that as an option. Always give yourself an out. Always give yourself a plan B so that you can cover your bases and make sure that you're going to remain financially stable into the future to take care of you as you're planning for your resale value. Okay, so now let's keep it real by talking about 7 ways your property is losing value and how to find your ideal home. Looking forward to our next conversation, my friend. We'll see you in a few.